Hello, BookTube. I'm back with part two of my book haul. I had talked about it so much in January and threatened it as Steve Donahue said, and he says that I'd threatened a bunker busting book haul, which this sort of is. Uh, I couldn't do it all at once because, as I say, there's well over 150 books, about 170 plus books. So I'm going to do it in piecemeal, a little bit at a time. Just to refresh, it's basically they were all free books. I only had to pay the courier shipping for it, which was just pennies, literally. Big boxes for like £5 to have delivered. And they were delivered while I was in hospital. So they've been sitting here now for all of February. Um, Pretty well all of February. I think they came beginning of the second week or first or second week of February. So it's been a while. And uh, as I've said, I've been under the weather. There's slow improvement, but I just, this COVID thing, I just wish it would just bugger off completely. But yeah, it's again sort of more stuff like the last one, just a mixed bag sort of. But there's a lot of stuff that's quite interesting throughout the whole thing. I just sort of took everything that looked interesting, and we'll start here. This is we'll go on this side, I think. Yeah, this is the ancient Near East. Well, it's the art of the ancient Near East. Egypt, Levant, Persia, Asia, Sumer, and Anatolia. It's by Seton Lloyd, who I really like. It's an older Thames and Hudson book from, what would have been from the 60s, I would have thought. Yeah, 1961. Thames and Hudson had a series here. It's sort of, what's it called? The World of Art? The World of Art. Um, I see a lot of these in paperback. A friend of mine collects them and has a good portion of them in paperback. I've been holding out for hardcover that I get occasionally, and I just sort of pick and choose them. But they're all fabulous. But I'm really glad to get this one, the Seton Lloyd one. Um, Thames and Hudson has done a number of series. Another one that's really good is People and Places. On my Q&A, I showed a few, two by Seton Lloyd. History of sort of archaeology. I think Mesopotamian archaeology was that, or just yeah, and then archaeology of Mesopotamia. Or no, I just yeah, they're just fabulous books. They're for the general reader, but they are especially when you get writers like this Seton Lloyd who knows their stuff as well as a good writer. It's great to read. Now we move back to my one of my favorites is film history. I can't get it without glare unless it's on an angle. This is A Genius of the System, Hollywood Filmmaking in the Studio Era by Thomas Schatz. Unfortunate name. Um, this is 1988. It's a used copy, clearly. Simon and Schuster. But then again, like this couple were quite aged. That had this library. They were professors for many years, so this could have been a new book they got at the time, but it's sort of used now. It's a bit tattered. I've got this in paperback. I think it's an updated version. I just can't get to it to compare at the moment. But it's I've not read it cover to cover. I've read a few sections of it at various times, and I really liked it. So it's really nice to get the paperback. I mean the hardcover. And if I do have the updated version, that's fine. I'll keep both. And this goes to the stuff that there's thousands of these, but it's a charming book. It's The Charm of the English Village by P.H. Ditchfield. It's illustrated by Sidney R. Jones with some fabulous illustrations. It's Bracken Books, so it's a print on like a remainder print company, basically printed for remainders. It would have been published earlier, but I don't see a date. At least I would have assumed it was. This is 1985 as well, but like just nice illustrations. There's the frontispiece, and spot illustrations as well as full page, a windmill, and there on the back is the same as the cover, colored picture. Yeah, no, it's just a nice little book. Nothing to write home about, but it's quite interesting. Those are nice, sort of fun reads, even so. Another one that's sort of goes with books that I like. A bit of stuff on it here. This is by Adrian Tinselwood. It's a National Trust book. The Polite Tourist, A History of Country House Visiting. That's something that I like. I've got a whole shelf full of sort of house books, country house books, specific to some country houses. And this one's quite interesting. It's well illustrated. It's really nicely illustrated. It's a National Trust, as I say. 1998 says the text. So there's lots and lots and lots of colored illustrations throughout. Photographs as well. And yeah, it should be quite interesting to go through. I might have a little trouble where to put this one. Let's see here, will it fit there? I'm running out of space. Tales from the Country Pub by Brian P. Martin. It's a David and Charles book. It's a bit late for... I do like David and Charles. They're fabulous publisher. This is a bit of a late one, I think. But it's a series of books, and I think throughout the collection here that I got maybe 3 or 4. But there's a whole list here, Tales from the Countryside. There's like 1, 2... Oh, there's like, yeah, some of them are multi-volumes. So there's a dozen or more, 15. As I say, it's David and Charles. 1998. So yeah, it's a late one. But it's still nice. It's got lots of... It's illustrated, and there's other ones like I think there's another one like from a farm or something like that. Which is kind of interesting. I'll eventually get them all together. They're the kind of thing I'd like to keep, but whether I will or not, I'm not sure. This I used to have quite a long time ago. I've got the unabridged 10 or 11 volumes of Pepys's diary, but this is selections edited by Robert Latham. It's illustrated. I think Steve Donahue got this on one of his Brattle book hauls a month or two, or several months ago, I think, before I actually received this one. But it's a nice one. As I say, it's illustrated. It's selected and edited by Robert Latham, and University of California Press, 1978, and there's the fire. And it's just well illustrated, which is kind of nice. So that definitely will go with my Pepys's books. The thing, and then we get into another. Yeah, well, here's the other King Vidor book, sort of a memoir. A Tree is a Tree, the autobiography of a great director in the golden age of movies, from 2-reeler to 3D. Somebody has put a plastic protector on it. The It's a bit rough. Uh, let's see, it's Longman's Green and Company, 1954. So it's just it's a short autobiography memoir of King Vidor, uh, Hollywood director, Silence and Into Sound. So it's only 2 books that he wrote. It's tipping over. But I really like, he's a good director, so I'm happy to get this. Here's another one that's sort of another house, English house is called Story of a Nation at Home, Clive Aslett. I'm not familiar with this one. It's Bloomsbury, 2008, sort of poor paper it's written on, or printed on, so it's starting to yellow. Yeah, I think it's just a general history of house, the English house. There, I got several of these. Lucy Worsley did one, sort of a history of the house. Another historian, I can't think of her name. My brain is gone. But anyway, yeah, there's a number. There's probably old libraries of that kind of thing. Yeah, this is a little odd too, but I won't say no to it. It'll go with my African stuff, but a bit late, but it does cover some period. The Peasant Cotton Revolution in West Africa, Cote d'Ivoire, 1880 to 1995, by Thomas J. Bassett. It's a Cambridge monograph, and I remember seeing this, and when I looked at it, there's a whole series, it's African Studies, and at this time they list volumes up to, from 95 to 100. The book's Cambridge University Press, 2001. So there's a lot more, but great titles, like Status and Status and Respectability in the Cape Colony, 1750 to 1870. Masters and Servants of the Cape Eastern Frontier, 1768 to 1805. Just some great stuff. Transformations in Slavery, History of Slavery in Africa. It just, I think there's even more modern titles, but it was I would not say no to a complete Cambridge African Studies library, that's for sure. It would be great to have. We saw some Roy Porter books last time, and here's another one. This is the only one that I've actually read by him quite a while ago, 15 or 20, well, more than 15 years ago, probably more like 20 years ago. It's The Enlightenment, Britain and the Creation of the Modern World. So I'm glad to have another copy of it. It's Alan Lane. First published 2000, so it probably wasn't 20 years ago that I read it. It's probably more likely about 18, 17 years ago. I know I didn't read it since I've been in the UK, and I've been in the UK for 15 years, so it was before that. So that's really nice to have. I'm pleased with that, and I'm also pleased to get this again, be reacquainted with it. Bud Schulberg's Moving Pictures, Memoirs of a Hollywood Prince, and it's sort of his history of Hollywood. And I really like this. I read this sometime in the 80s at Stein and Day. There's the end papers have sort of facsimile of signatures of actors that he, as a kid, and everything that he collected. As I say, Stein and Day, 1981. So I read this sometime mid to late 80s. It's a used copy. It's a bit rough, but I'm just so pleased to get something like this. And here's another one. It's a lot newer one. It's called The Cinema Third Machine, Writings on Film in Germany, 1907 to 1933. And it's a pictorial cover. It's again like we saw one on the first part. That's a collection of essays and writing on German on films. I think this is, or is this new writings? No, I need to look now. I'm not sure, but I'm not going to take the time to read all through there. But it's on Weimar Cinema, and yeah, it's another one of these lightning sources. It's a print-on-demand book, but it's a university publisher, I think. Pretty sure it is. Yeah, University of Nebraska Press, 1993. But it's a print-on-demand book, so I don't know. Did they do that, sending out review copies? But this is 1993. Printing, digital printing and print-on-demand wasn't that... it was just basically in its infancy then, and it wasn't very good. So this has got to be a later printing. But anyway, there's more here. Some paperbacks. Just looking at the time. The Weimar Republic Sourcebook, edited by Anton Kays, Martin J. and Edward Dimmenberg. It's a great big honking paperback, and it doesn't even look like it's been read. It's got a big blurb on here by Susan Sontag. It is University of California Press, and it's a series of book, Weimar and Now, German Cultural Criticism, and there's 22 books listed in the front here. This is 1994, first paperback, 95. No, it's not a print on demand anyway, which is good. But yeah, so I don't know. It's a 10th. No, it's 10th printing. So I don't know when this printing would have been done. But it's just it's chock-a-block full of stuff from the teens. Like the sections are. It's not film. It's more historical and cultural, with I think probably some film. But it's like Legacy of the War section, Revolution and the Birth of the Republic, Economic Upheaval, Rationalization, Inflation and Depression, and Coming Terms with Democracy, Rise of a Nation, Struggle Against Fascism, Pressure Points of Social Life. It just goes on. There's like 14, 20, just looking here, 25, 30 sections. And it is 800 pages. So it's a biggie. And this is all sort of contemporary articles on everything from like most of them are fairly short. But yeah, I'm stoked about that. I'm really pleased with that. And another one that sort of, it might be part of the same series, is it? It's called The Promise of Cinema, German Film Theory, 1907 to 1933. Edited, yeah, it's by the Anton Kays, that was there, Nicholas Baer, and Michael Cowan. So this must be, yeah, Weimar, yeah, this is two from the same series. And now there was 22 listed in that one, and there's 49 listed in this one. This is the 49th volume. I think this is all original articles as well, all to do with Weimar cinema. So this will give me endless pleasure to read. Sorry. Hopefully that's it. Uh, Another literary criticism one. Again, it looks like a print on demand. Reading Madness and in British Literature. Sounds fascinating. Edited by Ilaria Natali and Annalise Volpong. It hasn't even really been opened up. It is Cambria Press from Amherst, New York. Yeah, it's Reading Madness in British Literature, 1744 to 1845. It's a series of essays. Doesn't really say what. Well, I guess I'm assuming it's going to be exactly what it says. It's going to be studies on reading madness in British literature. There's works of Christopher Smart and William Cowper. Coleridge. Madness and Queer Longing in Clarissa. Yeah. So it's a bunch of essays. And it looks brand new. I didn't say what year. This is 2016, so it's very new. So this is probably a review copy. There's no review information in it, but that's interesting. Culture history of the Irish novel, 1790 to 1829, by Claire Connolly. It's a Cambridge University monograph. Cambridge University Press, 2012. And it's got put on there damaged, so I'm assuming this usually, I think Cambridge did this when they had returns from bookshops, and they stamped them as damaged because there was shelfware on them. And there's a good chance this was sent out as a review copy as well, I think. So, even though it says damaged, I'm doubtful there is any damage to it other than slight shelfware, which it's very slight, just. But, what does it say here? Claire Connolly offers a cultural history of the Irish novel in the period between the radical decade of the 1790s and the gaining of Catholic emancipation in 1829. These decades saw the emergence of a group of talented Irish writers who developed and advanced such innovative forms as the national tale and the historical novel. So, interesting. Whether something I'll keep is another question. And here's another literary criticism one, but it's a little far afield. Again, there's a bit of stuff sticky stuff on the cover. By the Sweat of the Brow, Literature and Labor in Antebellum America, Nicholas K. Brommel. This is University of Chicago Press. 1993. It says the spread of industrialism, the emergence of professionalism, and the challenge to slavery. These and other developments fueled an anxious debate about work in antebellum America. In this book, Nicholas K. Brommel discusses the ways in which American writers participated in this cultural contestation of the nature and meaning of work. It says in chapters on Thoreau, Melville, and Hawthorne, Rebecca Harding Davis Susan Warner, Harriet Beecher Stowe, and Frederick Douglass. Bramwell shows how these writers not only scrutinize work, be it factory labor, agriculture, material labor, or slave labor, but also reflected upon its relation to their own work of writing. So, there it is. University of Chicago. Yeah, another sort of odd one. Cambridge monograph. Smallpox and the Literary Imagination, 1660 to 1820, by David E. Shuttleton. That's the best way to do it. Smallpox was a much feared disease until modern times, responsible for many deaths worldwide and reaching epidemic proportions amongst the British population in the 17th and 18th centuries. This is the first substantial critical study of the literary representations of the disease and its victims between the restoration and development of inoculation against smallpox around 1800. Oh, that seemed kind of early for an inoculation, 1800, but oh well. Okay, I'm not sure if that's a typo or not. Again, this is another one that says damage, so it probably was a review copy, I would assume. 2007, Cambridge University Press. And the last one, which is now we get to one of the I don't know, there's quite a few archaeology books in here. Some are general, like the Seton Lloyd. But then there's ones like this. Archaeological Theory and Practice, 2nd edition, Routledge. That's a Taylor and Francis sort of group publication. It's Patricia A. Urban and Edward Shortman, Routledge, 2019. So it's actually very new. So it must have been one of the last ones they got. Wow. I hate to see how much this actually is. But yeah, it looks like it's just exactly what it is. Explanation theory and social sciences, cultural history, yeah, taking on the state in southern Mesopotamia. So yeah, yeah, this is something that it's like interesting, but not something I'll probably be sinking my teeth in. I don't think anytime soon. But yeah, I have to see how much little wear around the corners. But this is not stamped anything, is it? No. I suspect this is probably a very expensive book. Anyway, I will end it there, folks. This is part 2 of my bunker busting book haul. And I'll be back again in a day or two for part 3. And I figure there's going to be, could be 8 parts, 9 parts to this, because there's so many books. We'll see. Take care, BookTube.